Hi friends, in today's video we should actually thank one of our viewers who actually came back to me with a very valid question after watching my video on 5 mantras on AI. And his question was that Sarika, you spoke about AI in present data, AI in historical data, but you never spoke about predictive analysis in AI. And I think it was a very valid question. But the reason why I didn't cover in that particular video, because my main objective was actually to cover all the input parameters that comes into play for any kind of AI system, like whether it is present data, historical data, observational data, emotions and sentiments and all. But no worries, what we could do is in this video we would not only cover predictive analytics, but also will broaden the scope of today's video with expanding it to overall business analytics and how does AI plays a major role in which all steps and how it happens. So let's get started. I'm sure someday or the other you might have visited a doctor, if not for yourself, at least for some of your family members. And have you tried to observe how does a doctor tries to deep dive and diagnose your illness? If not, try doing it, and maybe I can help you recollect that. So as a first step, what he does is he wants to find out what's happening. So basically he tries to address or identify the symptoms of the disease. And how he does it, he checks your pulse, he checks your eyes, he does the physical test, maybe height, weight. So he looks at all your basic parameters. Once you understand some of the symptoms and also with your probing, he wants to go ahead and deep dive into it to ascertain why it is happening. So to understand the why part of it, he prescribes some of the tests like your blood test, CT scan, and so on and so forth. Once he gets to the root of the problem, he actually can guess or tries to predict that how severe is this illness and what would happen next. Is it a long term illness like a diabetes and you need to have proper diet restrictions and medicines for long life, or it's a illness like a cough and cold and it might just take 5 days of course and it can be eradicated. So basis now he is able to predict, and basis that he comes up with a course of action. So if you understand this entire cycle, I would say you understand even business analytics, because what happens in business analytics is exactly these 4 steps. Number 1, descriptive analysis to understand what's happening. Number 2, diagnostic analysis to understand why it is happening. Number 3, predictive analysis to guess what's going to happen next. And 4th is prescriptive analysis, which decides on the course of action. So you already know what's business analytics, but we'll get deeper into it in a moment. Let's talk about the first one, which is descriptive analysis. Now, this descriptive analytics is nothing but cleaning, relating, and summarizing data to identify what is the problem. So, if you look at this chart, you would understand that this chart is about sales in different region 1, 2, 3. It's a very simple chart, and anyone could tell that region 2 has lower sales than the other 2 regions. Now that tells you what is happening here. So the sales are dipped. So that's about descriptive analysis. Next, we move to diagnostic analysis. Now, diagnostic analysis is to find out why it is happening. So we check into some more data, and if you look at this chart, it shows that For region 2, the staffing was lesser when compared to the other two regions. So that is actually leading to lesser number of sales. It can be because of any reason, like if there was a strike or employees are facing some kind of a challenge. So that's basically the diagnostic analysis. Third one is predictive analytics, and this is more like we being the jyotishis of the world, trying to tell what is the future of world. But jokes apart, we are actually trying to predict what would be the business outcome in terms of sales, revenue, and other things, so that if there is any kind of risk in future, that can be mitigated, and we can actually preempt and prevent a lot of things, and can be more productive. So that's basically where a lot of industries, in fact all of it, is now banging on artificial intelligence, because in case of artificial intelligence, we are able to create some of the models which is learning based on the historical data, and is able to predict very with quite high accuracy and precision what would be the outcome, and that's where it is helping out. In a simple term, if you look at the graph here, if you know about the regression graph, so if you can look at this graph, the straight line itself, which has the historical data, if you plot it ahead, you'll get the future points as well. So that's how, this is a very simple example, but this is only applicable for any kind of continuous data. Now you'll ask me, what is continuous data? So continuous data is like, for example, the length of a road, which can be 1 kilometer, 2, 3, 4, and it continues 2.5, 7.5, and so on and so forth. So it's a linear series of numbers. But what happens in case we have a data which is categorical? So categorical data means like whenever you give a star rating to a Swiggy or a Zomato delivery person, like 1 to 5, and you give him a 3 star, 4 star, 5 star, so those are categories that you are assigning to that particular question. So those kind of data, or a true false data, or wherever the outcome is categorical, you are rating, and so something similar, so those are categorical data. And for these categorical data, then there is something called as logical regression charts, which helps in prediction. So this is the math behind, and statisticians themselves were able to predict what is going to happen ahead. But in case of machine learning, or I would say in case of artificial intelligence, what's happening is the combination of the math, the coding, and making the changes in the parameter is actually helping us create a model which is able to predict much more accurately and precisely. Now, another question that might come to your mind is what is the guarantee that this model will work perfectly in the real world? So you're absolutely right. There is no guarantee as such that this will exactly work as expected. But at the same time, in the back end, there are a lot of efforts which is being taken so that it doesn't fail. Now, how this works is, whenever you get a set of data, not entire historical data is used in training a model. What happens is, you decide upon a ratio, whether this is 50%, 60%, or anything of your choice. So if I consider like, okay, 50% of the data is my ratio, so what I'll do is, I'll take 50% of this historical data, I'll train this model on this data, and then I'll take the rest of the 50% of my data to test this model. Because for this model, the rest of the 50% of data are still the real value, and against this then we evaluate the model against an accuracy or precision and recall value. So, and basis that, we could say, okay, model is ready to be deployed in the real environment. It might happen like it shows in this graph, that even after the model has been deployed, the point number 2, 3, 4 is outside the line. So it was not predicted and there was an error, while point number 1 and 5 were absolutely correctly predicted. So it might happen with this model as well, but then what we do, there's nothing we do, we just come back, we iterate this model, go back. So it's an iterative process. More and more you expose this model to the real world data, much better it starts becoming. So it's a great insight that a businessman gets out of this predictive analytics, because they could actually mitigate the risk before even it occurs, and it's a huge value for any businessman. But one caution, like if you are a real businessman, then you should not 100% rely on these data. While it's a great insight, but if you want to make a wise decision, you yourself also have years and years of knowledge and expertise and experience in your own respective domain. So please use that subjective knowledge as well and this data, and together make a balanced decision. That's my piece of advice to all the businessmen out there. Moving ahead, after predictive analysis, the last part is I basis the predictions, take set of actions to put things in place. It looks very simple, but I know implementation in itself takes a longer time than any kind of analysis. So that's all I had for today's video. Hope you liked it. If you liked it, please do share, subscribe, and see you next Saturday with another interesting topic. Till then, me, Sarika Hussain, signing. Have a good day. Stay safe.